Hello and welcome to Jam in the Print Room podcast. I've got no idea what episode we're up to, but I'm absolutely delighted to welcome our special guest this week, which is Sam Nelson. And as always, I'm joined by Jack Gotcha and Andy McGuinness. How are we all?
Great, thank you.
Thank you, mate.
Good. Sam, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. Pleased to be here.
Are you ready?
Always.
Born
ready.
Ready. So, what I wanted to do, give you an opportunity to introduce yourself, Sam, and the pillar of the community that you work for, and tell us all about all the good things that you guys are up to and what you have done, a little bit about your background, and then we'll kind of jump into the chit-chat as ever.
Perfect, thanks. Rather than introducing me, I will introduce the printing charity. So my name is on the screen, but the printing charity is the industry charity for the printing sector, and obviously not just the print sector. We look after print, paper, packaging, graphics, publishing, and all the allied trades that go around that. So, Matt, you're a great example there. You are a print specialist recruiter. Mm-hmm. So you fit into our wider bucket. In terms of what we do, the Office of National Statistics in March of this year says that the sectors that we support has about 240,000 people that we could reach. So we are, as I said, the industry charity. We're around 200 years old, and we provide practical, emotional and financial support for people working in or retired from our sectors. And we also support career development through our Rising Star Awards programme. So to look after people from an emotional and financial support point of view, we've got a free and confidential independent employee helpline. We've got financial assistance for people who are facing hardship. And then also sort of going into the retirement factor, we've got independent living through 2 almshouses that we run, which is for people retired from a career in any of our sectors but are of reduced financial means. So that's, I guess, what the charity does overall. Me personally, I am a senior relationship manager here, and my role is principally to look after our careers and development program, which is principally the Rising Stars program, which we are open for applications for now, and I will tell you a bit more about that. But also, we're running a lot of things in the background, developing the alumni program around that. So that's the initial sort of overview of what we do and what I do.
As a charity, is it like other charities where you need fundraising to kind of fund and kind of bankroll the services that you offer, or how does that work?
No, we don't. As I said, we were formed a couple of hundred years ago, which gives us a long legacy of people looking after us from the industry. And that allows us to run all of our services completely free to the end user. So a lot of our sort of our helpline service, for instance, the way we work that is we engage with businesses within the sectors so that we can make sure we can engage with the underlying employees. And there is no cost to either the business for signing up with the helpline or to any of the employees in the background that may use the services. So, I guess one of the key differences between our helpline and what you might see in traditional business is that because we are completely free, we don't need to feed back stats and justify our inclusion. It's just great that we're there for employees, whether they need us or not. And that's a comfort to business owners as well, because we know that, you guys are there yourselves. The market is tough, so us being able to provide that service takes some of the pressure off looking after employees, which is nice.
Obviously, we don't talk to many organisations that are over 200 years old. Is there some particular event that meant that you needed to start those years ago?
We're actually just under 200 years old, so look out for our 200th
Sounds
year
like a
when
party.
we'll be... Yeah, exactly, where we'll be doing lots of fun stuff. Was there a particular event in terms of, cataclysmic back then, like the banking crisis in 2008? I don't know. But what I do know is the most anecdotal of anecdotal stories is that a group of printers were in a pub in London, and they were approached by a group of watchmakers who said, "We're starting a charity for the welfare of our underlying workforce. Can you print us some leaflets?" And the printers essentially went, "That's a jolly good idea. We should also do that." And obviously that was before the NHS, the welfare state, paid for public or non-public schooling, depending on which parlance you want to use. So I guess that was what drove it, was the idea of, can we do more for our employees? And I guess we as a charity have enhanced that through the years with all the different things that we offer. And the world is very different to the world was how the world was back then, which is why we've sort of enhanced our offering into things like wellbeing, mental health, career development, and not away from financial support, but luckily we're in an industry where, on the whole, people get paid the market rate or above. So that's a nice place to be.
Absolutely love the fact that it was born from people in a pub having a beer and just like networking of the early days, right?
Yeah. It's also
I
very
absolutely-
print, I'm led to believe. It's very print to be in the pub.
Yeah, I can imagine. So, kind of, you mentioned the Rising Star there, the Rising Star Awards, and something that I'm fully behind as well and involved in this year as a judge, which is great. But one of the topics that we wanted to talk about today was kind of perception of the industry, and you probably more than most, Sam, are probably a good barometer of what that looks like. So can you kind of give us an idea as to what the perception is from young people, either in the industry or looking to get into the industry, and those type of conversations and things like that?
So the perception of the industry from our young people. So we did a little survey actually from 2021 to 2024, the winners of our Rising Star Awards. So that was 194 winners over those years. And we sort of had a look at them and what they've been up to since. And we had, of those 194, we had 26 people had been promoted, 45 people have moved company within the industry, 82 are still in their post, so they may have had responsibility changes, but they're still in the role which they won in, and 41 have either left the industry or we couldn't find information on them. And so that's the numbers of the winners. But also when we speak to those winners, a lot of people give the anecdotal feedback of they didn't know what print was until they got into it. They didn't know where it is in the world. They didn't know that, you know, as we all do now, we walk through the supermarket and we look at packaging, we look at labels, we look at all of this printed material. The perception from outside of the industry appears to be still that print is declining. And that's, again, based on, as someone who came into the printing industry a couple of years ago, you know, you think print, you think of stuff like newspapers, and everyone talks about the decline of circulation of newspapers and magazines. What people don't talk about is that is being replaced with obviously the digital and graphic side of things, but also that everything you do every day, you know, you make your coffee at home, you've got a printed piece of cardboard with your coffee in, or a printed bag or a printed tin. And so I think that is the perception that we see outside and then to in, is that we still are not promoting what print actually is. So the world only knows what it knows. So the young people are sort of saying, oh, I didn't know you did this. I didn't know it did that. And there's a great article that we wrote where one of our rising stars described print as modern day magic. And she just consumes the information about what we do and talks about the different ways things are printed and the excitement she gets when she goes into a supermarket and sees something that her company has done. You know, that's sort of an opinion-based piece in terms of the perception of print, but that is what we hear, that people really don't know what it is a lot of the time.
Jack, you and I were on a panel at Sound and Digital a couple of weeks ago, and we were discussing the perception of it to the young people. And a lot of people think it's kind of mucky and I know it's manufacturing, but people think it's a bit of a dirty industry, as in like hygienic. But it's not. Like, they have to be meticulous, especially if it's on kind of, you'll know this, Andy, as well, like printing onto vinyl. Like, it's got to be like so sterile, the environment, hasn't it? And I think that's one perception that we probably need to change as well.
Young people, or even at school and certainly at college, not that many years ago, you'd have to go down there with your USB stick to your print room. At least you'd see your print room. Today, you probably would never see it. You just put it on the internet, and even if you do need to print something, so they're just not seeing what a print room is anymore. And that must make it harder just to think that that's a route to go down.
We've had a few apprentices over the years, and one of the issues we've had is that all their mates go to college, and they tease them out of our industry because what they thought was they're button pushers. That's all they do. And print, especially at large format, is so much more than that. So we've had some really good people, but their mates have teased them out saying, oh, you're a button pusher, come back to college and learn a real trade and all those kind of things. And we've lost really good people. So we've kind of lost them before we've really got a stranglehold of them and got them into the industry for the long term.
We have some research from JCDecaux about Ask a Gen Z. And actually, what is interesting about that reputation thing and that peer pressure is that over half of Gen Z want to work in an industry with a positive overall reputation. Now, when you get into print and you understand what people are doing to keep up with, whether it's sterile environments for food, whether it's thinking about sustainability and recyclability, when you understand what print is doing, then you can see what the positive overall reputation could be. The question is, are we putting it out there to young people? And again, on the same research, 45% want a chance to move job roles within the industry, and 38% say they want to work in an industry with lots of interesting developments. Now, we know, again, because we're here and we see it, that you can move within roles. The people are very supportive once you're in, and print is still very much a job for life for a lot of people when they get in it. And again, the Rising Star Award, so it's an application and interview based process rather than nomination. It's for 18 to 30 year olds, and it's to win up to £1,500 for your personal professional development. So again, these young people, they put a lot of store by having good quality line management, having supportive culture, having a chance to do extra training, having a chance to develop themselves in their careers. And we do that well in the printing industry in general. And the Rising Star Awards is a whole other thing that people can get involved in. And you get exposure to people like Matt in the process, because we have Matt and 30 odd other industry experts, and I'm talking, senior people in all different areas of publishing, print, packaging, that young people that are giving up their time to do an interview with young people, give them some coaching, some ideas, some positive reinforcement. And not many industries support young people in that fashion, that will take a whole day out of their day to do that. So, I think the reputation could be in the print industry, and I think we're building it. I'm not sure that it's getting out to the right audience yet.
How are you finding that, Matt, being a mentor?
Yeah, no, I absolutely love it. And I'm very, very lucky with the mentee that I have. I'm so just willing to try, and every kind of conversation that we've had has then been kind of stripped back and kind of applied to certain situations. Absolutely phenomenal. And it's so rewarding, and it's needed. And more people need to do it, absolutely. But it's so, the gratitude coming back is phenomenal as well. I'm so appreciative of the time and the experience and the kind of knowledge that I want to offload, and to have it for it to be so greatly received is heartfelt anyway. But then I can if anybody else is doing it currently and they're experiencing the same thing, then I think it's only for a phenomenal kind of stewardship that people should continue to do. It's brilliant. It really, really is. But the kind of one other perception that I see a lot is, I don't think people understand how many different verticals there are within the print space. So IT, technology, engineering, studio, and client services. And Sam, you're kind of a perfect example of transitioning into the industry. I know you're not a printer, but transitioning into the industry where you don't have industry knowledge, but you've got that transferable skill set. And so I'm just going to open it up to Andy. Have you ever hired anybody, or is anybody in your business, Andy, that is from outside of the industry, or would you be open to it in terms of that transferring into? Because we need new blood as well as young blood. We need probably experienced people to come in and show us a new way of working and embracing other industries as well.
That's a good plug for your skills there, isn't it? Yeah, so I hired Marco, who come out of the industry from recruitment, and Marco's been fantastic. He's been with us just over a year now. Come from recruitment, very personable, and he's brilliant on the telephone. That's something obviously you need in recruitment, and that transferable skill is he picks up the phone. It's not one of these, I'll drop them an email, I'll drop them another one. Just get on the phone. He finds out the problem or the the issue straight away, and it's dealt with. So yeah, we should be looking at more transferable skills. We've been remiss of that as well. We've had someone who applied once and they were in car sales, and I kind of didn't choose them because I went with the safe pick, which was within the industry, which they were very good, but they might have equally done a good job as well. A similar skill set in terms of big expensive asset, a car, a printer, specs, comparing against another one. So that's something we should have looked at maybe a little bit more than what we did. We kind of almost rejected them just because they're in the car industry. We shouldn't have done.
That's interesting, isn't it? Because I think the example that you used there with Marco is that he doesn't have any preconceived ideas of the industry, and there's no barriers for him. Whereas somebody experienced, maybe coming from a competitor of, I don't know, they've done that for 7 or 8 years or something, they'd be like, oh, I'm not speaking to that person because of last time I spoke to them in my previous business, it was frowned upon to do this or that. Whereas coming into it fresh with that sales ability and that client kind of development mentality and no barriers to entry, I think it's probably opened everybody's eyes up. You can learn from Marco, and Marco can learn from you guys. So more people should do this, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think he's definitely upped our game. He comes in and says, "Could we do it like this?" In my old roles, we've done that. So everyone can learn from each other. It's not just us teaching him about print. He can teach us, from other industries and the way they did things. Yeah, I think we should as a whole be looking further afield and not just recruiting the same old people and churning them around in a big cycle, moving from one company to another.
I also think that with print people, and what you guys may forget as being in this world, is that in all the right ways, print people, packaging people, the whole industry really loves to talk about the industry.
Yeah.
So that looking at what the skills needed to do the job, if you can match those with someone, you guys will, download the industry knowledge to them as quickly as they're able to ask. I've never gone to any networking event, any trade association event, and asked someone a question and have them act as if they haven't got time to talk about it. They, whether you're a equipment person like Andy, whether you're, in the sort of journalism side like Jack, or whether you're sort of across the whole lot, Matt, you all just want to talk about it. You're excited about it. So if you can take that leap like Andy did of saying, actually, this person can do the theory of what we need them to do. You guys know it all so well that you'll tell them the information they need. And as long as they're willing to learn.
I think as a business owner, it's quite a risk sometimes to get someone from outside because you do spend a lot of time teaching them, going straight from all the different ink technologies like aqueous, solvent, UV, resin, latex, all those kind of things, and downloading that information into them. And you don't want to waste that time. You almost want someone ready-made that you don't have to spend that time. They're just going to get on the phone. They've got a black book of contacts. Away they go. But actually, you can find some diamonds. And if you're willing to look and if you're willing to put that time in, but sometimes you do need, someone who is experienced and will hit the ground running. Other times you don't, and you can take a risk.
It's not that different from bringing in youth or the next generation of people. You still need that experienced people and that knowledge and that kind of industry expertise there to offload to people. So whether it's someone as a second jobber or someone kind of coming straight out of college or university, I think that's important.
Certainly our industry has become much more technical and advanced year on year. So really you're getting into the world of solution selling, which is something that spans across many industries. So it's not necessarily about this ink or that ink or whatever. It's about what is this doing for your company? How are you going to take this product and make your business better? So from that sense, you could spend a little bit of time with education that is you could teach to anybody, but the actual skill that you need of getting on with people, having the contacts, developing contacts, isn't necessarily something you can teach that easily. That's something that comes from experience. If you are a small business owner, it's a big risk, but it's all about risk. Come on, people, got to do it.
Got to roll the dice, haven't you?
Yeah,
You don't
absolutely.
you don't want to take the risk where the recruitment fees are so high. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Just shows how it pays off, though, eh?
Yeah.
Anyway, moving swiftly on. Sam, how did you... I know you and I have spoken about this probably over several beers historically, but how did you find kind of like transitioning into the industry from something so alien? Tell us a little bit about what you did before you got into the world of print.
So for 13 odd years before I joined the printing charity, I was a commercial banker. So working
I was a banker.
Banker, yeah.
Banker.
Yeah, absolutely. Draw your own conclusions. So working with businesses across the corporate landscape, the small, medium enterprise and some micro businesses. And my job was relationship based, understanding their needs, as Jack sort of alluded to, and providing solutions for what that might be, whether, that was sort of immediate stuff like equipment sales with people like Andy or longer term goals and planning. But how I found the transition, now obviously there's two transitions. There's one from the corporate world to the charity world, and then there's two from multiple sector, working with lots of different manufacturers and engineers and retail and what have you, into a specific sector, although we've already gone through how varied it is. And I'd say the charity transition, that's been really great, moving into a mental health and well-being charity, moving into something that's all about supporting people. That's been an absolute breath of fresh air. The printing charity, both, what we do for the industry is incredible, but as an employee, it's great. It lives the values that we try to give out as well. So that's wonderful to be part of. The printing industry, again, I think, I don't have anything bad to say about banking. It had just changed in what I was doing and the way it was. And I had some wonderful colleagues who helped me learn and develop me and mentored me in banking. But the difference I'd say in printing is there are not many of my previous colleagues who really loved banking. We loved the relationship bit. We loved learning about businesses, but it was all about people. Whereas the printing industry has both. Great people that we all love, and it's the relationship bit, but also the actual doing, the tech, the creating, the designing. That amount of passion is wonderful. So I found the transition brilliant across both bits, really. And again, it is testament to the people, whether it's young people coming in and being exciting and excited, or it's the current generation with the knowledge saying, do you know about this? Let me tell you about this. This is what I do. This is what our business does. So yeah, it's been great.
When you got the gig as well, do you know if you were up against people from industry kind of experience, or what?
I mean, I don't know explicitly.
Mm-hmm.
I do know that on the relationship side, so working with the businesses about the helpline, the majority of the relationship team do have print backgrounds. So I don't know whether it was a conscious decision or not. But what I do know is that it was a risk, absolutely, because people within the industry, you mentioned a black book of contacts. It is an industry where a lot of people know a lot of people, and it's got good quality trade associations that create networking. So, I think I was there at the right time. My skills transferred across. They saw the opportunity on top of the risk, I guess. But I do believe that a lot of people from the industry do look at the printing charity and apply because they know what we do. So it sort of perpetuates itself, but in a good way. That the people that we've got in the business that know all about the industry are great for the charity because they know quite often who needs what and where and why. So it's good.
Good. And you mentioned in there kind of the type of services that you offer in terms of like financial kind of support and mental health well-being and the helpline and things like that. So Jack, obviously as a singular or a small business owner as well as myself, sometimes, I don't know about you find yourself quite insular sometimes, like you don't have that emotional support and that kind of sounding board and things like that. So when it comes to kind of mental health and that type of thing, I think as blokes stereotypically we're terrible at talking about problems and stuff, and when you kind of look at it on a micro level of being like Colin would call it, a solopreneur. What's your kind of outreach, Jack? What do you do?
Going back a while now, but I mean, I've been working as a pretty much on my own for nearly 30 years now. But about 15 years ago, you start doing a bit of volunteering things. But I got very much into youth work, working in schools, and doing a lot of work within mental health and the 5 ways of wellbeing and all those good things. And actually, it's fairly straightforward. There are very simple things you can do that help with that day to day. And you do have to go and do them. So you've got to go and connect with people, go and be outdoors, spend as much time outside as you possibly can, because it makes you feel better. Trees give off something that makes you feel, it's fact. It's absolutely fact. Learn a new skill. I learned to do forest school stuff. And also be present. You don't constantly be worrying about what's coming up in the future. You just live for the time you're in now and enjoy it and share it with others. So there are simple things you can do. They don't seem simple when you're not in a good place, but certainly you can, as a solo businessman, you can get very much stuck in what you're doing. But you've got to tear yourself away and get out. And but even Andy, for a slightly larger company, you've still got to separate yourself from the business, from the daily sort of routine of things, and get out and do other things.
Yeah. What about you, Andy? What have you got that sounding environment?
Yeah, I've got a few people I can talk to within the industry. Obviously, I've got my dad as kind of the previous business owner, so I can bounce ideas off of him. But sometimes things do get too much. And about 7-8 years ago, we'd had the wife and I were doing up our bungalow, so we had a million different decisions to do. And one particular day, I think we were at the house 7 o'clock in the morning before work. We were choosing where to put lights and speakers and things before we'd actually had a ceiling. And then we had Wren Kitchens come in, we had the electrician, we had the plumber, we had the main contractor, all those decisions to make. I think we finished about 11 o'clock, brain just like, I can't do this anymore. And then got to work and everyone's going, oh, Andy, this has happened in the last couple of hours and this, and the usual day-to-day job. It got to about 2 o'clock and I went, do you know what, I'm done today. And then got home, the wife's going, oh, what about this decision, this one, this one? I've gone, just started crying my eyes out. Never ever got to that position before. And I realised there's a few little trigger points that, you can't be that person to absolutely everybody all of the time. So probably should have maybe just stepped back, had a day off when I'd done all the decisions with the house. And yeah, it's just too much. So yeah, we don't talk as men, to people like we should, and offload and ask for help when we need it. And it's good. I like talking about this because if it, even if it helped one person, just reach out to someone. Not that it was a major issue, but yeah, you can't keep everything, all the plates spinning at once. Is probably the best phrase. It's just impossible. And sometimes you need to take yourself away from the business and go for a walk or just have a day off. You can't do everything.
Yeah, and I think it's important as a business owner as well. I don't have any staff, but to kind of create that self and safe environment where they can come and talk no matter what it is, and it won't be frowned upon and all those type of things. But Sam, if someone is struggling, what is the process? Can they literally just pick up the phone and help's there?
I mean, well, the simple answer is yes.
Mm-hmm.
There is, I suppose, just a bit more thought around the sort of environment. Print Week says, as of last October, 69% of people working in the print sector are male. And you sort of overlay that, Andy mentioned about not talking and things like that. You overlay that with the fact that men are less likely to access psychological therapies than women. So 36% of referrals to NHS talking therapies are men. If you think about that in the context of our industry, if there's 69% male, and of those only that small percentage we're already behind on that conversation. That is one of the big things about what we do at the printing charity is one of our leading messages is about starting a conversation. And that could be just starting a conversation within your current sort of ecosystem with someone at work, with a friend, with your family, or if you do need more support. So our helpline is emotional and practical support. The emotional support is 24/7, 365. We have British Association of Counselling and Psychotherapy accredited counsellors. So essentially it's designed as in the moment support. So if someone is experiencing a crisis, they can call, They do get spoken to by a call handler to make sure they don't need to call 999, etc. And then they can talk immediately to a counsellor. In terms of can you access it straight away? Absolutely. If someone was in crisis and used some of our public information on our website, the printingcharity.org.uk, to get in contact with us, we would be able to give them the helpline number and refer them. But as I said earlier, how it works in terms of getting the best value for people using the helpline is we like to engage with businesses. Andy, I believe you have a helpline in your business. We met probably at the same event that you were talking, or one of the events, Matt, you were talking about having a beer at. And I think it would be fair to say that you didn't know much about us, Andy.
No.
So we discussed about it, and then how that manifests itself is we get to talk to Andy, the head of the business, about what we do, how we do it, how employees can access the helpline. So then we get his buy-in to take it back to his business, put up posters, talk to the employees about it. You know, one of our relationship management team, myself, or there's 4 others, can also speak to businesses. So yes, of course, the help is available straight away. But what we want to do is be in businesses so people know how to access it and have it available to hand, if that makes sense.
Okay. No, that's brilliant. And from my perspective, if there's 60, did you say 69% is male?
Yeah.
In the industry, right? So then if half of those people are then not also talking or kind of accessing it. So I think from an employer's perspective, there's going to be so many companies out there without any policies or any kind of safe places for people to be able to go and talk to and stuff like that. So what kind of advice would you give to people in terms of coming in from with an absolute blank canvas?
Well, I mean, I would say the first step is to think about it. And then once you think about it, you start to think about how you can help your employees. And actually, speaking frankly, a lot of the decision making in any business, as you know, comes down to, cost, convenience, availability. And that is where you can take the printing charity as a first step into well-being. I think what the 2 clear messages are that we want that engagement. We want that sort of commitment from the business to say, we really want to help our staff. And what that then breeds is you get the information, you have the helpline available. So then you tell your staff about that. And typically what we see is people then start to ask questions. It becomes a talking point. And I think, Andy, you said if it helps one person, that's kind of the ethos in a way, that if one person suddenly feels, because it's being overviewed, that mental health and well-being is important, that it should be talked about, if someone is then empowered to either speak to their manager, their friend, their family, or if they really need it, find the helpline and call it, then we've done our job. So I would say, that is the first step. Think about what you want to do to help your staff. And then if it is providing this sort of assistance program, then get in touch with us. We're here. It's info@theprintingcharity.org.uk, and you can ask any questions and we will answer them. And yeah, it's a very simple process. And to be very clear, there is no cost to the business. There is no cost to anyone using the service, and our time as the relationship team is part of that offering of the free service. So, we are there to support and make it easy to roll out.
And as a business owner, Andy, and having kind of gone through this kind of take up of services and things like that, how did you find it? And do you feel like it's a more encompassing kind of environment now?
Yeah, so
hopefully people don't need to use it, right?
Yeah, that's the hope. But things happen. Again, we met at the Colin Sinclair kind of open day that you were on, Matt, and that's how we met Sam. So then we had a Teams. We spoke about it. We signed up, and we've got our own phone number now. And then we get regular emails from the printing charity about, say, mental health day, financial support, exercise and well-being, and anything that comes through gets put up in the office, in the kitchen, front and centre, so everyone can see it, and should they need it. And we regularly send those emails out, so they're constantly aware that those services are available. Obviously, I'm not equipped to deal with those kind of mental health issues, so put them in touch with someone who can, accommodate those.
Yeah, and I mean, so just for clarity, we don't actually keep. So what it is it's a phone number for everyone. But when CEDO sign up, we tell our clinical provider that you're signed up, so they know to help anyone from that point of view. I think the important point is, and where you come from with this, Andy, is that support is there for people, and that and again, to be clear for your people, you've never asked me if anyone's called. You just know that it's there to cover them, and that's again, that is the thing. Starting the conversation, telling people about it is really important.
You can't imagine why you wouldn't sign up to it. To be honest, there's no charge and there's only benefit. You talked a lot today about mentoring, and I've always thought, certainly working with young people, but it's the same with people of all ages, having a mentor and being a mentor. They're just so powerful in terms of what they can achieve. Just for an hour a week or whatever, it just makes such a huge difference to have somebody that you can trust, that you can talk to safely. It's not going to go any further. You're not necessarily going to get the solution to your problems, but you're sharing and understanding. And I think it's a fantastic charity and it's a fantastic thing you all do.
Thank you.
No, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. And just to kind of touch on what you said earlier on, Jack, in terms of kind of volunteering and getting out and about, that's one thing why I've kind of got into the grassroots of management and being involved in the Lewis football team. The fact of I can very quickly kind of detach from work and focus on something else that's hugely important to you. And I think that was a really good point that you made in terms of kind of doing something in addition to what you are doing as a bit of a escapism as well.
I think also, I mean, thinking about the Rising Star Awards again, because that's what I think about most of the time. I see that a lot with the young people that come through the awards. So this is my second year running the awards program for the charity. And over the last 2 years, what I've tried to do is, through surveys, through understanding the audience, is find out what young people want from their employers and from the industry. And a lot of it is around mentoring, networking, opportunities to learn. So the first step is, of course, winning an award. So that in itself brings applicants and winners outside of their day-to-day role. So they start thinking about, what training do I need to do to get to the next step in my career? What is the next step in my career? Am I currently on Andy's customer service team and actually I want to go into installs? Well, he might not take that risk for me, but if I win a Rising Star Award and do this bit of training, it gives him a bit of comfort. So it really gets people talking and thinking about their personal development plan. Then if you win an award, you get to come to the House of Lords to a party, which is always nice. But that is a first step into networking. So what we're doing this year is we're trialing an online networking bit of training before that event. So that's another bit of free training that winners get. Then they go and network. Then they've got the opportunity, hopefully, as Matt, you said, you're a mentor for me in our pilot scheme. Hopefully, we're going to roll that out into a wider scheme. So they get the opportunity to have a mentor and talk about that. The next thing that we do is we keep engaged with them and we give them chances to speak at things like the print show, Sign and Digital, and not just with us. They do it with me and with other people in the printing charity, but they pop up on other panels because they've got this confidence, they've learned to put themselves out there. And that whole thing about doing something different, they don't realise, but they're already stepping out of their day-to-day role. So the Rising Star Awards programme that I'm developing is very much about that. It's about giving them all the opportunity to do something they wouldn't do in their role. And because we've got such a wide range of size of business within the industries, you can get someone from sort of a 10-person business that would not have access to those sort of opportunities, and not through anything that the business is doing wrong. It's simply, that economy of scale that, I don't know, a Kimberly Clark might have, isn't accessed for a micro business. So by coming through the Rising Star Awards, you sort of get that extra exposure. So, it's a convoluted support of Jack's point, but that extra thing of being mentored or doing something outside of your day-to-day role is hugely important. And I'm pleased that we're developing something that supports that.
I think
I think it's so. Oh,
Go
go
on, you go. After you.
on. I think
Every
it's so
time.
unique as well in terms of it's not just I'm a Rising Star Award winner and brilliant, look at my statue, that kind of trophy type thing. There's so many different touch points and there's so many things that you can utilize with that. Like you say, all those kind of extra additional points, which really help that young person come on and come out of themselves and experience new experiences, kind of thing. So, go on. I wish you would have spoke before me now, Andy.
I was just gonna say the House of Lords using that as a networking rather than just a celebration, but obviously a big celebration, but also as a networking event. That might be one of the first times, if not one of the only times, that those youngsters actually get to do that, and they don't see the wider world of print. So getting to network, you could find out someone else is doing a different style of print, and when your boss says, "Oh, we need to get this done," you go, "Oh, it was James at ABC Print or something like that." So it's quite good because normally it's director levels, managers who tend to do the networking, but
Yep.
that seems a really good idea for youngsters coming through to do that networking side as well.
100%. And we try, and I try to listen to what people want. And a bit of the feedback from them was that this was their first step into networking and that sort of thing. And, for someone like me, probably you guys who have been in, hundreds of rooms and had to break the ice with someone, you suddenly see and go, oh, okay, yeah, that must have been quite a step. So that's why we're building in this masterclass. We're going to give them some information about some of the great and the good of the print world who will be in the room, our judges, that sort of thing. So that, if they've got an agenda, even if it's just to say hello to someone who judged their award and contributed in giving them the award, they have some information that they can go and do that with. Yeah. So I think hopefully that will become really, it's already a fun event, but hopefully it will take some of the mystery out of it for them and give them some more skills that they can then take onwards.
No, brilliant. No, thank you for that. So leads us to every episode we have a mystery question from the guest previous, and it was Bobby last time. So, what is your preferred method of meeting a client or customer? Would it be online or in person, and does that differ from meeting a supplier? So probably might have to tweak it ever so slightly for you because you don't really have customers or clients or suppliers really, but
well, I mean, I consider, well, we consider our helpline users, customers. That we hopefully treat them with the respect and everything that all customers deserve. So we do have customers. Also, the young people, I guess, are now my customers, and the people who apply for awards. My preferred method of meeting people is always in person, because you really get to know someone, certainly from a customer perspective. Even now, even when it's talking to someone about either their young people applying for the Rising Star Awards or the helpline and mental health and wellbeing, being in their space, being in their factory, being in their offices, just gives you that insight into what the culture's like, what might work well in deploying things, what's important to them, all that kind of thing. Having said that, the ability to see someone's face on a video call, I mean, most of my career in banking, it was either on premises or on the phone.
Mm-hmm.
The video, you can still have a nice personal conversation. You can read a bit of body language. You can get to know someone. Are they just laughing at your jokes politely? You can tell in their eyes if they've actually found it funny, that sort of thing. So it is in person, but I think that the ability we've got now to talk to someone who might be, I'm in the Southwest, someone might be in Scotland, Colin, for instance, Colin Sinclair McDermott, being able to pick up the video phone to him and actually, have a bit of a vibe. I think it's brilliant.
Well, we wouldn't be doing this now without it, would we?
Face to face for me, always. For selling hardware, there's nothing better than seeing the customer's print room, finding out what they do, how they print it, what the bottlenecks are. Sometimes you don't get all the information when you're on a Teams call. You ask the relevant questions, but you might not get it, and they don't tell you what their processes are, perhaps. So you could say, well, why are you doing it like this? Would a flatbed laminator not be better? And for example, you've got the space for it, as I can see. It's quite easy to see what the space is. You get much more. But there's benefits to everything, I guess. I like going doorstepping, knocking on doors around an area. If I've seen one customer, I'll then go and canvass the area for old school expressions, and knock on some doors and see what I get. But I can get around 15 to 20 customers that way. Or if I block out my diary for a whole day, I can do 50 to 60 phone calls depending on how they go. So horses for courses, but for me, face to face every time.
Leaving your business card underneath the windscreen wiper.
Pretty much, yeah. A load of sample packs.
Yeah. And what about you, Jack? Yeah, I think yours is probably very similar to mine in terms of if I'm kind of meeting a client or a candidate first, just to make sure there's that synergy there between the two, I would probably always encourage a 15, 20-minute Teams call, just to really sound out before someone's traveling 2 hours to go and spend an hour with somebody. So I can hugely see the benefits of online as a first kind of pit stop. But Jack, you spend your life on Teams calls, don't you?
Well, I do now. I mean, I'm a bit similar to Sam. Like, when my first job was selling computer systems to the square mile banking community. I would sit there with a dot matrix printout of all the bank's contacts, and my job was to set up a meeting. I mean, and then go and see them. But then you've got to be there. You can't, but like Andy says, you can't just go and see everybody, especially doing what I do. I'd never be at home. So the video call has absolutely transformed how we do our business. But yeah, I mean, this is why I love going to shows. I love going to the networking events, because it's just a great chance to see people.
I think it really helps for inclusive industry as well. It's almost a community, isn't it? You see a lot of the same faces at all these industry events, and you do get to know kind of one another. So for the young people, in terms of that step into the networking, to see us old people dab hand at it, but we've just built those relationships and friendships over the years, and we've all got to start from somewhere. I think that face-to-face networking thing is so imperative as well. Just keep that personable.
I think with our industry, which is, and I've worked in a few different industries, I think this industry is a little bit different in that there is this community of people, but it's not an exclusive one. We're constantly looking to bring more people in, which is actually quite unusual. And it's just one of the reasons why I've kind of settled in this industry, because I just quite enjoy it. Great people, and you do stuff like this and have a nice time, and then off you go. We all do our thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Just to finish on a reminder that the application period for the Rising Star Awards is open now. It closes on the 30th of March. It's for anyone in any role in the industry aged 18 to 30. The prize is £1,500 towards your personal professional development. All of the information you need is on theprintingcharity.org.uk, or email awards@theprintingcharity.org.uk, and we can answer any questions. But it is an award that you win yourself through thinking about what you want to do, what training you want to do, and how it will help you. So it does take some research. Have a look and get in touch.
Thank you so much for your time, Sam. Best of luck with everything moving forward in the Rising Star Awards. And Jack and Andy, I'll see you on the next one.